Persinger's God helmet reveals low temporal lobe sensitivity in Richard Dawkins. Forum posting. The supply YouTube link to bbc.co is no longer available for copyright reasons, but the commentary here is adequate. Video description. This is a telling experiment. Richard Dawkins volunteered to be a test subject of Michael Persinger's God helmet that uses complex magnetic fields to stimulate the temporal lobes and limbic system. This reproduces deep spiritual and strange states in healthy brains with rich temporal lobe sensitivity and creativity potential. However, Dawkins only experienced vague body sensations. In his temporal lobe profile, it was revealed that his sensitivity/creativity is very low, indicating an acutely underdeveloped temporal lobe function. This explains everything about the atheist/materialist inability to rationally apprehend more complex syntheses of the empirical and logical roots of ideas that lead to rational concepts about theology and teleology. People with underdeveloped temporal lobes cannot process the subtler and more complex implications of nature, so they can only perceive them as disconnected from logic, and see only an illusion of fantasy. Even when they are carefully and logically broken down, as Plato did, they cannot combine these ideas and see the whole, so they dismiss these rational networks of ideas as irrational. They cannot see the logical connections in the complex network. In the cybernetic dreamtime, these sorts of deficiencies will be balanced and boosted through BCI augmentation. The future God helmet, as a few small buds-on headbands/glasses, will be able to shape the magnetic field to make up for the lack of temporal lobe development, and provide the rational engine to perceive and experience metaphysical concepts rationally. Then the simple atheist/materialist personality type will be properly classified as the product of a mild and functional hereditary mental illness, like depression, and that worldview will vanish, becoming an historical curiosity. After numerous pseudo-skeptical protests, the original poster summarizes here. The edge cuts both ways on this one. It also reveals that those with extra-sensitive temporal lobes who have experiences of God are really mistaking something from themselves. God is not another talking to you. That state hints at your potential and the deeper essence of consciousness. Jung was right. Needed definition here is, what do we mean by you? But that's another day. At moderate, pathology is when dysfunction causes sociopathic behavior and thoughts. Online pseudo-skepticism. When taken to extremes, the pathology of atheism/materialism does just that, and has led to extreme violence carried out through dehumanization of victims, as extreme as any holy war. But nature uses the useful and advantageous. Aberrations like homosexuality, which became selected millions of years ago for its ability to stabilize group behaviors of sexual reproducing animals, providing strong community. Many of your organs and systems are the result of such emergent aberrations in function that turn out to be advantageous. The synthetic atrophy/blindness of materialist thinking is more of a mixed bag. It provides some early advantages for avoiding cons and bad ideas, but it becomes a detriment once knowledge becomes fully developed, because the larger implications remain hidden from view. My comment about how atheism and materialism will become an historical curiosity is not some kind of threat of control, although I do tend to push that angle. When I get irked, I meant that all these atheist personalities will choose to augment, and a byproduct of their augmentation will be a cure of their temporal lobe atrophy, as it will be for the religious with overdeveloped sensitivity as well. That will have the side effect of change in their views about epistemology, and they will start to see the rational network of logic and empiricism that supports things like simulism and cosmism, and irrational ontology of God in post-humanity. The atheists and the faithful will converge on a more mature cosmos view of rational epistemology and teleology based on information technology that will see both faith and materialism as primitive and pathological. Great food for thought, eh, skeptics? Kimbo99 on the forum replied, starting with a quote, "However, Dawkins only experienced vague body sensations. In his temporal lobe profile it was revealed that his sensitivity/creativity is very low, indicating an acutely underdeveloped temporal lobe function. This explains everything about the atheist/materialist inability to rationally apprehend more complex syntheses of the empirical and logical roots of ideas that lead to rational concepts about theology and teleology. This proposition is quite a good call. It makes much sense to myself, having had years of experience dialoguing endlessly with militant atheists and pseudo-skeptics in very large numbers online. Their most compelling feature is regimented lockstep, robot behavioral conformity, strongly suggesting a common pathology. Some of the most common features are emotional underdevelopment, infantile reading literalism, so do many fundamentalists, tendency to lie a whole lot, and what seems to be an autistic tendency, namely attempting to chisel every situation via lying insistence into their own effective image, into a kind of alternative feeble simplistic existence, to avoid the THB, the too hard basket, where we normal spiritually minded put the many unsolved questions, like ESP, afterlife, paranormal, etc., awaiting further evidence. Atheists and pseudo-skeptics deny the very existence of the too hard basket. Hundreds of thousands of them online in chorus. A group defect. We now have a clue as to why Dawkins' representative brain underfunctions. We also notice they totally lack humor online, and kindness, perhaps the source of the poster's comparison of atheism with depression. Skepticism is associated with depression, cardiopulmonary illness, and reduced lifespan. Michigan University study. The collective lack of brain development, non-growth, immaturity, is striking in online encounters around my many pseudo-skeptic videos on YouTube. I'm Kimbo99. Brian Josephson, Nobel laureate, coined the phrase pathological denialism to describe pseudo-skepticism, so he may agree with the poster's proposition. It's an essay on Google, the cause of the non-growth of the brain temporal lobes, resulting in near-zero sensitivity, as in Dawkins' case, is a fascinating question also. I have pondered if it's their lack of pets while growing up, distant mothers, as in deprived wireframe-mothered monkeys, or it might just be premature birth, which has numerous pathological physical effects in later life. The BBC doco has been pulled for copyright reasons, but only off YouTube. It may be available off YouTube if we just know its name. I did get to view it before it was pulled. The militant atheist/skeptic's inability to connect ideas is striking, and it's hard to determine if they are feigning it or it's for real, but it's all over the net. So the posted proposition concerning Dawkins' brain failure by a leading brain researcher, Dr. Persinger, is quite useful, potentially illuminating the utter futility of skeptics fighting with religious people. All over YouTube chat lines, skeptics might prefer to preserve themselves for better things. Religious fanatics have the temporal lobe oversensitivity problem and can't be reasoned with, while moderate religious people do happily and logically connect what seems to be pure fantasy and illusion to skeptics like Richard Dawkins. Both groups live in radically different worlds and can therefore never agree, never see the same thing. Neither side's brains are physically equipped to understand the other. So why fight? Nobody can win.